friends, my name is Megan, and welcome to episode 35 of a Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to a regular podcast episode. I am actually going to be covering a couple of fun things today. So our quick agenda for anybody new, and also because I've got a couple fun things I'm going to tell you out the front, what to expect at the end. This is my knitting diary, sharing space for all craft things. I talk about knitting, crochet, spinning. Those are really the only things I do with fiber right now. But I will be covering no finished objects this week, works in progress, some acquisitions, and stats for the quarter. That's the fun thing this week. I'm going to flash up. I'm not going to make it boring, hopefully, but I'm going to cover a couple of things that I think are kind of interesting and give you an update on all of my 2024 knitting goals, where I'm at right now, and whether or not I need to reevaluate. It's an okay time to do that. So let's dig right in. I do not have a finished object this week, but I am wearing one that I finished last week that we did talk about. I did try it on for you last week. So I'm not going to stand up today, also because it's annoying to do. I just have to move a bunch of stuff out of the way, but I will talk through the fit, the feel, etc. About this first. So for anyone who didn't catch last week's, this is my completed Skyline Tee test knit. It is a test knit for Tori Yu, who is Tori Knits NYC on Instagram. This is, I'm done. I was done almost 2 weeks early, so I think this is due next week on Thursday, and the release will be over the weekend, I believe. So I've already got my notes in, on my way, measurements, whatever. Everything is into Tori. I do have some things. Okay, let's share first what size, etc. And then I'll go right into what I think about it. That's always fun. So this is a size 5. It is a 50-inch bust. Recommended ease is 4 to 6 inches. I am a 47-inch bust-ish. You know how it is. I made this with, the body is 3.25 millimeter needles. I did start my shoulder panels with 3 millimeter needles. The ribbing is 3 millimeters. And this yarn is Grenwico's 8515 sock, which is a merino, super wash merino nylon blend, and 437 yards for 100 grams. And it is called Three Sisters. It's yarn I got from Sylvan, who is my yarny godmother, and I just got this from her as D-stash. It's a color I really love. It reminds me very much of robin's eggs. It's this pretty kind of cool bluey green color, and then there's a lot of warmth in this. There's a brown that almost is a foresty green also in places, and then this dark blue. The construction of this, as many of you saw while I was making, is a saddle shoulder. So you start with the panel, which it's a little bit long. It goes, I guess it's this whole length, right? So it goes to the drop. That's the panel I made first, on both sides, and then you do your back and your front and you connect. I do think this does sit, Ariel mentioned this in her podcast, she also tested this, is that these saddles sit kind of far forward. When I first tried it on, I didn't think it did, but when I kind of adjusted my neckline to just how I would like it, it does. They sit, the back of my saddle is right here, kind of on the top of my shoulder. So if I have good posture, and you can actually see it, it's sitting right along that ridged line, where a t-shirt line would sit. So more of the saddle in the front. I like it because then you can actually see that there's a saddle there. It also is what sort of helps. So when you're not doing a ton of one side than the other to create a deeper neckline, you do a little bit of that to join, but it's pretty short, the sort of short rows in the front, which is nice. It makes it go by pretty quickly. And yeah, I overall, I'll back up a little. I do really like how like it's boxy on me. I mean, it's not a lot of ease. Even like you can tell like where it's sitting, it's like it's flattering, like how that fit is. But with the drop shoulder, you can see like even though this is pretty straight, I find that like in fingering weight, this is sitting really nicely. I don't feel like I have tons of extra fabric here, which boxy knits sometimes do when you like put your arms down. I think it's pretty flattering. This yarn is very soft, but with 15% nylon, I think that it'll be like pretty hard wearing. Like I think I'm not gonna have tons of pilling issues. I'm not gonna have I don't know. I guess I won't feel like it's like falling apart on me, which is nice. Fingering weight garments are a lot to make. Even a t-shirt, you know, the body is a lot of stitches. I did say my row gauge was pretty far off of Tori's, so I added more rows than she did. It's a whole thing. I did make this helically knitting, even except for my sleeves, which yes, you can tell that is a little bit lighter, but by the time I got to sleeves, I had finished almost like a lot of the body before I added sleeves, I think, and I wasn't going to disconnect one of the helical yarns. I had 3 skeins. This is almost exactly 3 full skeins. I wasn't going to disconnect one of the helical yarns in the body just to do the sleeves. It just wasn't going to happen. And then ended up fine. There are no short rows in the sleeves. There are short rows in the back, which is why I think the fit is pretty nice. But I was concerned that this would do this more than it is right now. But I think that's kind of normal for a t-shirt, for your line to be a little bit closer to your underarm. And it's fine. For me, that's a very, this is my favorite t-shirt fit, where it just sits right above your elbow. It's not awkwardly on your elbow, and it feels like a t-shirt, but I'm not leaving a whole lot of like arm out. I don't know. I don't like that. We all have our things, right? That's my thing. My arms are my thing. I don't like them to be out. That's okay. So yeah, here we are. I really enjoy it. I think it's super soft. The fit is comfortable. Sorry, I'm wearing a t-shirt underneath of this right now just because I am filming at the end of my workday and I didn't feel like doing a full outfit change, so I just threw this on over top. This will drive me nuts. Okay, let's continue on. I talked a lot about this last week if you want to know any more details, but I enjoyed the make. It was pretty straightforward. It's not a super complicated t-shirt. I actually don't know. I could look really fast actually through my knitwear tracker, but I don't know that I have any other drop shoulder t-shirts. No, I don't. I have no other drop shoulder t-shirts. I do have a couple of drop shoulder sweaters, which I like. I think that they have a very, comfy, relaxed feel. But for a t-shirt, I kind of like it. I will maybe make more. Maybe not this exact one. I don't know. I do love this detail, and it's not too much. It's not a thing that's super noticeable that you'd be like, oh, don't you have 5 of those? And I would love to make this in a true solid. I think Tori's sample that she knit was in Pike Place non-superwash, the earthy DK or earthy sock from Explore Knits and Fibers, and it looks amazing and super crisp in a single color. But I had this yarn on hand and it needed a project, so here we go. I have a bunch of 3 skein quantities because that's what I usually grab for a t-shirt. So for some happy fun colors like this crazy orange, which you can kind of see here, it's like an orangey pink. That's another one that could be a t-shirt. So just things to think about. Okay, let's move it right along. In our project queue, I will continue going from oldest to newest. Our oldest is actually one we have not seen in a couple weeks, so I did say I was working on it. I only brought down the portion that's connected, which is not that many. I wanted to connect more this week, but I got like into making them, and I made like 5 or 6 purple ones. And then I realized as I was going to connect them, I need some other colors and variety here. So this week I'm going to work on filling out some of the colors and connecting. The connecting, I think I said this before, is probably the most painful part because those rounds have the most stitches, obviously, as your flower grows. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the flower vortex blanket. This is a pattern by Sanita Brenson, who is Bright Bag on Instagram. It is crocheted. It's a baby blanket for my cousin's first daughter, who is almost a year, and I am going to get this to her right around her year birthday, hopefully before. And I'm using a 5mm hook and various worsted weight scraps, yarns, whatever, that acrylic that I had in my house, which I have tons of. I picked sort of, the color palette is purple, blue, and pink with all green outside. There's some yellow, there's some white, and there's some gray thrown into there. So here is what I have so far. My plan is, guys, this is not very impressive, but I will get there. My plan is to, I'm not going to really care if the green, I only really have these 4 greens. I might have one more I can take upstairs, but these were the 4 I had upstairs with all this yarn. Greens for the outside. So that is supposed to be the leaf. That's like what that round is called. And so for the leaf round, I'm going to use just green all around. So like I'll put a light green here, you know, that kind of thing. Some of them will touch each other. This is inevitable when you're doing sort of a scrappy sort of thing like this that I'm not doing color planning for. So this one looks like really wrinkly. I'm not really sure why. I think this yarn is just really stiff, this outer green. I have done all of my weaving except for the greens, and just pure laziness. So this is what the back looks like. They're cute on the back. I like that. I'm glad that they don't look super messy on the back. So it'll be totally fine. And they all look the same. I think I told you guys this. I had to redo a couple of my first ones because of this stitch where you are crocheting into the back post, but you are crocheting into the top of a double crochet back post, and I was not doing that correctly. What are you gonna do? I fixed it, and now it's good, and it looks great. So this is where we are. I think I have 6, maybe a couple more than 6. 6 fully finished, a couple partially finished. I started a yellow one last night. Anyway, so to fill out these colors, we'll pop, this might be a predominantly purple. I have a lot of purple scrap yarn, so that's okay too. I just wanted to make sure I have some variety where I'm starting so I don't get stuck with like just a swath of purple and then around the outside. So I'll continue going. They look fab though. They're super fun. They are taking me, they're not quick. So I can finish the inside of one relatively quickly, like 30 something minutes. The outside row though takes me like, with connections, like a full 20 something minutes. Like it's becomes like an hour to do one of these. The connector is nice. I'm doing a join as you go, which is why also I did the, just the color for a bunch of them. And then I'm going to push them, put them in here. So how it works, they're random, in that you are only connecting part of each of your, there's like a specific place to connect them, but you're only doing a part of each of the flowers. And that is good. I don't know what to say about it. It's fine. What is annoying, and I have done a join as you go differently for like a stuffed animal. This one, you physically remove your hook to be able to have this nice line, and you pull your yarn through instead of pulling like a slip stitch through, which makes it lays flatter and it does look nicer. It's just more annoying to do. So that's all I have to say about this, the Flower Vortex blanket. You shall see more of it next week. I definitely need to give this a lot of time. And I've just elected to do like 1.5 nights a week instead of trying to pull this out to do flowers every night, because I did that a few times last week, and there's so much yarn because I just have tons of scraps because I'm pulling out randomly, and I feel like I'm drowning in yarn when I do it. So I just need that to be under concentrated time. Okay. What's next? I have my Hayley sweater. Actually, I did not. Yeah, that's my next one. Wow, that's not a very old project. I did not cast this on until just a few weeks ago. So this is my Hayley sweater, which is a test knit for Iris H, who is Iris Makes on Instagram and YouTube. This test is due August 11th, so I have quite a lot of time still. But I have just been digging it. I've really been enjoying it. And so I did what I said I would do last week, and that I semi-blocked it. I just steamed it, put pins in it, laid it out on a mat and let it dry for a couple of hours yesterday. Oh, it's so red. It looks little because the cable I'm on is small, but I did ensure I put it over my head. I like made sure the underarms could meet up with my extra stitches that I add in. I added 10 on each side, so it's a lot. This is a DK weight, you know, cabled sweater. This will block more than this. I think that some of this stuff in the middle will relax even just a tiny bit more, but it does look small. It does fit. The measurements are pretty correct. They're just maybe a little bit small, but I'm honestly like very much not going to redo it. I don't also think I would like this yarn to bump up a needle size because I think it would be too, I'm glad it's not super dense, but I think it would be too airy for the cable texture if I went up to a 4.5 millimeter needle. I am on 4s right now, which is the recommended size. And the stitch pattern, like if I measure across, does look pretty accurate, so I'm going to just go with it. And I'll be able to try it on in a couple of nights if I continue work on this pretty quickly, to give it a real try on to make sure it fits. It would not be the end of the world, absolutely, if I had to recast it on since I have so much time. I just feel like I would be discouraged. What I can say is this is going to be set in sleeves, and where it is hitting me right now is approximately at the end of my, you know, this is where a set-in sleeve would hit me, like right by my armpit. And that is where it's hitting me without stretching it at all. We'll see. We'll see. I love this red. I cannot wait to wear this. I am so excited. This is going to be my Christmas sweater, and I'm going to have it done early. So I'll probably wear it before Christmas. I will absolutely wear it before Christmas, but I'm really excited to have it for all of the holiday season. Ooh. Just give myself like one single hiccup. Okay, so I made a lot of progress. Let's go back. Let's go back and tell you details and progress. So this was the first, I picked up left side first. Last week I had the back done, the left side started. I finished the left side. I finished all of the right side. I connected, and I did about 3 or 4 rounds yesterday. Connected in the round. So I'm fully connected in the round. I will do 3 to 4 inches before I decide if I want to pick up a sleeve. Now the arm side is good. This is it hits, you know, it's not a droopy underarm by any means, but it's not going to be too tight on me. So that is nice. And we talked for a while before about modifications for something like this. When you have a cabled pattern, if I do feel, and I think that the arm upper arm circumference will be fine for me, but that is something that sometimes I do adjust. When it's fully patterned, that is a little bit harder, but the easiest way to do this, if you did not know, is probably, especially for something like this where it's a set-in sleeve, so I'm going to have to pick up all of those stitches, is you just pick up a different size. So you can't do this, you know, totally willy-nilly, but if I just wanted to pick up a size 6 instead of a size 5 for sleeve, I could do that just by picking up that number and knitting a size 6 sleeve. That's really all you have to do to change it. If your rate of pickup is 1-to-1, then you are going to have more of a difficulty doing that, because it just means your arm hole will actually just be too small to start with. If it's just like you would pick up 3 and 4 for the size 5, just do your math to change what your rate of pickup would be. Just throwing it out there in case anyone was wondering, because as I go through, I'm going to have to make sure that before I start sleeves, it really will fit me circumference wise at my gauge that I'm currently knitting, which I'm hoping is very close to on gauge. So that this is a size E, size 5, which is 48 inches. So it's only going to be, and the recommended ease is 1 to 4 positive inches. So it is going to just be 1 inch on me, which is fine. What that will look like on my bust usually is that it looks much more fitted, right? It's not going to be stretched out, hopefully, very much across my bust. That does mean with movement and stuff, like this fabric will be stretched a bit. But I have a smaller waist than bust line, and so I'm glad that I prefer that typically to not have tons of extra fabric around my waist because my hips are larger. So being a little bit of a curvy kind of figure, this is my preference. This will be a full body length. I'm not exactly sure how many inches. Some of that I think is like knit until inches or you're comfortable. And I am using 4mm needles, I said. I don't know yet for ribbing since I haven't done any, but I think I just go down like to a 3.5. The yarn I'm using is Cascade BFL 09, which is red. And it is 100% BFL wool, 262 yards for 100 grams. This is a super affordable yarn, something you can get at any local yarn store. Well, okay, I won't say any. I think this is a newer of their lines. It's one of their... They're adding a couple of different non-superwash, non-merino, like Highland wool, kind of vague-ish wool terms. So, BFL is a specific type of sheep, and that's what this is. They tend to have a little bit of like bounce in the fabric. It's like a rambouillet. They're gonna have like a little bit of bounce, but they may not be quite as soft as like some merinos can get. Not all merinos are made the same also. So just things for you to know. I really love spinning BFL. I have not knit with commercial BFL before, and I very much enjoy this. I think it feels really nice. It's definitely not as soft as a merino or a superwash yarn. It doesn't slide as easily through your fingers. I find that very nice for the cables because they catch, right? They're not just slipping all over the place. I'm not having to like adjust stitches. I was saying this when I first looked at it, like 1 or 2 of these stitches were just where I am knitting back and forth instead of knitting in the round. Some of my cabled stitches, the first cable, were just like looking a little bit pulled. The nice thing about this yarn is if you just adjust that with this, because there's like so much, it's toothy, the yarn has a lot of fibers that are catching each other, it will actually let you adjust it pretty easily, and then it stays. So that's nice. That's what I have to say about this. I'm enjoying it. I very much enjoy the difference, and I do think this is semi memorizable, especially once you get to the body. This is so cool. I did not know this until I started doing it, but the front and the back are exactly the same with stitch count and stuff, so that's really nice. But when you get to like some of this stuff, like it's pretty easy to tell you where you are on the big diamond. All of these react to the same way. You just have to know like which row you have to cable on. But a lot of it is you knit your knits and you purl your pearls and cable, and that's what keeps you both engaged, but it's not too hard, and I'm really loving it. I will be excited to be done much before August, but I have a couple of big things coming down, so I want to get a couple inches done on the body so I can try it on. So I know I'm feeling good about the size before I move this to maybe the back burner for a couple of weeks. Not too long though. I don't love when projects just sit forever. And we just moved this. Iris just moved her test knit into a Discord, and I much prefer that. I think it's so much easier to follow along with when there's changes, especially over something that has such a long testing period. So if anyone, if I do step away for a couple weeks and then I want to get updated and make sure, no big changes came, I can do that, which is great. So let's talk through our next project. That is my Sophie shawl. So I am making a Sophie shawl, which is a pattern by Met, who is Petite Knit on Instagram. And she's super popular, has many, many, many patterns. Her garments are almost size inclusive for most of them. She's definitely expanded her sizes a ton. I have not made any of her garments, so this is my first petite knit pattern. But the Sophie shawl is one of her most popular and famous, and so I got influenced. So I said this last week, so Reshma's making this, Kate from Red Door Fiber Studios, and also Jess, and I think I talked to Jess about this. Jess from La Mercerie is making this also with some hand spun, and so it's like really just such a great way to use your hand spun, especially when you're still getting your evenness correct. And this is also good because you don't have to have a very particular density of yarn for this. You can kind of do it with a bunch of different things. So I am using 5mm needles, which is recommended, and 2 strands of my Rambouillet spin, which is Lavender Latte from Erin at Backloop Yarn Co. It is a purpley gray, little bit of light pink and golden brown. In the skein, it definitely looked more brown with the combination of white and that brown being pulled out across length. It does look more golden, which is great. It's super pretty. Not something I'd wear in a shirt probably, so this is an awesome pattern for me to be using in honor of me knitting this at the same time as Reshma. Also because I just love all of her stitch markers. This is a Hello Lavender, focus there little friend, Flock stitch marker from Flock 2023. I hope she has a special one for 2024 because that would be so fun. And the sheep are different this year, the logo for Flock. So maybe we'll just have the collection of. This is how far I am. I did add, I don't know, 5 or 6 repeats the other day. I wanted to pick this up more, but I just had other things going on. One real travesty for knitting, which we'll talk about, which took up a little bit more time this week. Plus, this is a short week. I am filming on Thursday, the 4th. I know what day it is. The 4th of April. And I'm very glad to be moving my filming schedule back to Thursdays, which means I'll publish usually Friday, hopefully Thursday night, Friday morning, sometime like before midday Friday. This gives you the whole weekend to watch. I don't know. It's just also gives me the whole weekend back, which I love for me. So there we go. Here we go. It's very beautiful. I wish you guys could like feel through the screen because this is so soft, but doesn't feel like any other yarn I have because I spun it myself, because it's a little bit underspun, because this yarn is Rambouillet. There's no comparison I have in my stash to be like, it feels like something. It's such a particular feel and it's so nice. And I am just like really glad to have something so squishy. And I will not look as chic as anyone else wearing this like very beautiful thing, but I will wrap it around my neck probably next fall. Not that I won't be done with it relatively soon-ish. It's not going to be a hard knit, but it's getting nice out. And, you know, I don't know that I'm going to have so many more chances to wear it when it's done. That's okay. We love to make things for future us. The next one I'm going to go through is my Wood Anemone. This is a pattern by Nordland. It came out last fall. It is a top-down lace yoke pullover. It is the first lace yoke only pullover I'm making for myself, which is so fun. I am making size 5, which is 48.5 inches. The recommended ease is 2 to 6 inches. That's almost 2 inches for me. The needles I'm using are 3mm for the ribbing. I did do the neckline, and 3.5 for the lace. I really need to gauge swatch this, and maybe I steam block it where I am now. I'm a third through the lace just to make sure I'm going okay, because I feel like I'm knitting the lace a little bit tight, and the reason the body will be knit in 4mm needles. So I don't want this to be all like tight and then the body looks really loose. The point is that you have a smaller needle for your lace, because most people knit lace a little bit loosely because all the yarn overs. It's really why, I think. I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna assume that. The yarn I am using is, you guessed it, more back loop yarn co. I think this is like everything I'm going to talk about today. It's not very intentional. I looked at some other yarn. This is one of my Make 12 makes, the second one for the year, and I do have yarn from lots of other dyers in my Make 12. I just wanted this one to be done. So more Aran yarn. This is Surrey and cashmere sock, which is an 80-10-10, 400 yards for 100 grams, and this is a regular Surrey, 328 yards for 100 grams, 74% Surrey, 26% silk. Mix, holding it together in the color Ghouls, which I guess they do look the same, but like sometimes I just pull this out in different lights, and like right now it's really giving me the gray purple vibes in my office. Upstairs in more natural light, like I only have a small window here and I have an overhead and like a ring light, but in more natural light, it's so gray blue, silvery blue even. So it just really depends. I love that trend. It's a very fun transitional type color. So this is, I did not sew down my collar. I did start to just do a knit together, which is the row. I don't prefer that for collars, but I was like, man, I'll just try it. It was very annoying with the fluff. I felt like I was fighting with it also because this is a twisted rib, and so I just like, I wasn't gonna do it. I would much prefer to sew it down. So that is what I will do. Probably when the neckline, like once I have more lace done, or maybe when the lace is done, I'll take a day, take an hour and do that. I don't know. Hopefully it won't take me a whole hour. But this is, I mean, it's looking scrunched right now, so it's also hard for me to tell. I just want to make sure that this is not, it looks okay if I stretch it out a little bit. But this is the start of the wood anemone pattern. It's very beautiful. It's essentially like three tiers of stacked lace, stacked leaves. That's really all it is. I am electing to do the non-bobble version. This pattern, there's a t-shirt also, maybe just a t-shirt in the pullover, and you can choose to do bobbles in either of them. It's a lot of bobbles though, and I was just certainly not going to do that. Not sorry, not with fluffy yarn. And also, I don't love the bobbles as much. I don't feel like it gives you as clean of a look as just what you replace them with purl stitches. And the purl stitches look real nice. So, and I looked through a bunch of patterns. Her sample, which I put up when I talked about the pattern, is also a non-bobble version. And I do eventually want to make, what did I make for Sarah? The Whitmore, which is very similar, but has larger, sort of like a singular larger flower. Maybe there's still two, but it's similar. And I'm going to do that even though they look kind of the same. And it'll be two very different colors, and it's still a different lace pattern. And you know what? I'm do what I want. So this is where I am. I didn't get too far, but last week I was, oh, I have it on the inside. I was just here partway through my collar rows. So I had just started after the purled row, which is where you flip down. I did a lot. I mean, just getting to the lace is feels Herculean a little bit, or getting through it is going to feel like that. I will just move this now so I don't forget. I will continue tracking on this. I do have a couple other priority things. This does not have a deadline, but again, I want to get through my Make 12, and that's what I'm doing. Here we are. Here we are. It's very pretty. I love a fingering and Surrey held together. It's got enough density, softer than mohair. It's definitely more coverage than mohair, right? So like, I think this lace is wholey enough that you're definitely going to be able to see it even from further away than like a mohair, which I'm pretty sure is what Surrey Nordland uses for hers. But I like prefer to wear a Surrey. So for something like this, I don't probably want to wear a high-necked tank top underneath of it. I want to wear something lower that's under the lace so you can really see a lot of the lace. That's all. Happy times. This color just makes me happy too. It's just such a fun neutral. It's, yeah. I love it. Okay, let's talk about my last whip, which is a sample knit for, you guessed it, Backloop Yarn Co. I showed you this yarn last week. It is her new summer base. So let's talk about her summer drop really fast. She did confirm it's going to be April 13th, which is sometime Saturday or something like Sunday or Saturday of next week. I'll remind you then also, I am not an affiliate for her. I just am her biggest fangirl, and that's okay. I'm allowed to be that. But she has 10 of each of these colors. This was the last release, actually. So she just released this, I think, yesterday. This is Sky. If you thought I was talking about Mermaid last week, because that's the only light blue that was out, you know, now she has put out this. They are 3 distinct shades. She has three distinct shades of blue. She's got a purple. She's got some fun things. I flashed pictures last week. Please go on her Instagram if you want to see them. But there is a limited quantity. So she dyed 10 of each of these in this alpaca linen silk blend. So it is 50% alpaca, 25% linen, 25% silk. It's 436 yards for 100 grams, I think. And it's so lovely, more silky than my other exactly the same blend. So I really don't know what the accounting for that is. Maybe it's her dyes that she's using. The coverage, I think, is a little bit more, even like on her darker colors in her Instagram pictures, and it's looks shinier. I may grab some. I really love the purple. I also really like Sunburn. I really like the darker blue color. I just don't know. You know, you can never know what I'm gonna do. I don't know, because that's why, because you can't know, because I don't know. But I do really like working with it. This, if anyone hasn't used this blend, even the oolong, the feel of knitting with it is super similar to the feel of knitting with the Strata. So even though this looks silkier, it feels very similar in my hands. The Stratus fingering that I got from Horizon Fibers. So it's not as bouncy, not as stretchy as a full 100% wool or even alpaca. Alpaca itself, I feel like, is not quite as bouncy as a wool. I think that it's drapier, but the fibers don't have as much spring back. So, and that's the case for this just generally. The linen plus the silk, it doesn't feel stiff for me to work with. Actually, I find it very enjoyable. It just doesn't have some of that stretch that you might be used to. So depending on how you tension, this could like just feel different for you. So I really enjoy it though. It's very silky. It's very drapey. Okay, so what am I making with this? Now I've talked about this yarn. Okay. So I raved about this yarn. Now let's talk about the pattern. So I did cast on my sample for Erin, which is the Champagne Tank. It is a pattern by Isabella Clark, who is 100 Acre Wool on Instagram and YouTube. It is a bottom up ruffle tank top that has a sort of drop stitch detailed on the front. It's got some eyelets above the ruffle. It's got like small tank top straps. I don't really know what else to tell you about it. It's super pretty. I'm making a size 3 for my sample, which is a 37-inch body circumference. It is 0 inches of recommended ease, I think. She says, choose the size closest to your actual bust size. For nice drape though, if you are just under a size, she recommends going up. So whatever that means, like 0 to a couple of inches of ease at most. And you start with the ruffle and you go up. Let's talk about this because tragedy struck this week. Yarn tragedy, you guys. Nothing life related. This was a great catch by my good friend Katie. So Katie, I know you're watching at some point, and thank you very much. I got to knit night and I had been struggling. So the way that you cast this on, I'm not going to give too much away because obviously this is a paid pattern, but you do start with the ruffle and you start with a particular type of cast on that allows you to do the hem as a double knit. So it's like doing a folded hem, except for you get this really nice, the nice edge. The edge looks very nice, like where the fold is. And I was double knitting this and I had to do approximately 12 or 13 rows in total, which means 24 rows of double knit. And it was torturous. I don't like double knitting because it's annoying. And it was like 800 stitches. So, and then remind you, this is a size 3. This is not a large bust size. I mean, a 10 inches more for my bust size if I were to do this. And that is so many stitches. It's a lot anyway because you decrease, right, to get to the body so that the ruffle looks nice throughout. But that is crazy to do in double knit. So I was at knit night and I was like, you guys, this has been torturous, but it's so pretty. And then Katie said, I think because I was like laying it out on the table and she was like, can we just check that it doesn't, you aren't in Mobius? And I was like, oh my God, I hope not. I totally was. I had twisted my first stitch and I actually know how it happened. I dropped the last purl and I just picked up, not thinking about like making sure I was still not twisted in the first round. I totally did it the first round. I did it. It's fine. This is what happens. I had done like 6 rows of knitting, so 12 total rows, and it was literally taking me so long to do. It was the beginning of knit night, so I had to just get over it. Be like, okay, what do I do? And Sylvan had an amazing idea as I was leaving. She was like, why don't you just do a different cast on, or even do that cast on, just knit flat both directions, because it was doing sort of a provisional cast on to do double knit. That's not really what the recommendation for the video even was for, but that's what it ended up being used for. Anywho, I was gonna do a Turkish cast on, but I didn't feel like testing that first for the connection of both sides. So I just did the cast on again. And instead of double knitting, I moved all of the secondary stitches that would have been my purl stitches onto a holder, knit all 12 rows very quickly, then just knit the inside. So it's like doing a folded hem. I just did it from the middle, which is annoying, but the edge does look really nice. And I have finished the eyelets. I am moving on to start the body. And here we are. Now I'm going to finally show you after I told you all of the things. But here you are. Look how cute it is. The ruffle is super cute. I actually really like that I think sometimes when you increase stitches, you add them on, you tend to get more holes than when you decrease, right? So the effect is very good. The ruffles look really even. I think they're going to like sit super pretty. It's going to be worth it. Was it horrible to have to restart that? Yes. Was it so much? I mean, I probably finished recasting on, finishing the ruffle before I would have finished double knitting the rest of those 6 more rows I needed to do in double knit, because it's so painful. I mean, you're even though you're not knitting every stitch, you're having to move the stitch every single round, and I just didn't have to do that. I had to do half the manipulation and it looks better. My stitches look cleaner on both sides because I'm not doing any weird stretch out. It's just much more enjoyable experience. So if you ever want to make this, absolutely please do that. I will put a note in my Ravelry page that explains what I did a little bit more. So if you ever buy the pattern and you go back, there you go. The eyelets are super cute though. They are all slanting in one direction because of the way you do them. It's like a little lattice at the bottom. And yeah, I am just going to move into the body, and I swear to you, it's going to fly by after doing 1 million stitches in the bottom. But that is cute. Look at it. This would be so cute for like a little tutu. No, I would never do more, but super fun. This is not also particularly a look I would gravitate to for myself, and I know I've said this before, is some patterns I think are so gorgeous and I just want to make them because like the experience to make them, the new techniques, also how fun, also so it's like an art piece, so beautiful. I don't want to wear it though. And so I really hope Erin loves wearing this. And someone in the world should, because it's gorgeous. I don't know, maybe I'd probably make this tank top without the ruffle, to be quite honest, and just do a folded hem of the same amount of stitches. You could do that alternately. There we are. That's all my whips, everybody. Let's go through acquisitions. I am going to talk through a fiber acquisition I got. I have 3 things. Okay, Erin was doing a destash, and so I grabbed some of her fiber. It was her own fiber that was on her website, and she was just clearing out some old summer colors, and so I grabbed several. I got 2 additional. This was in one of my orders earlier this year. She was giving out just like a freebie fiber or single skein if you made a purchase between like at a certain time period. Maybe it was like the beginning of the year or something. I got a freebie of Beach Ball. That's what this color is. It's 100% super fine merino, and I have that braid is right here. It's very pretty. It's so cute. So I got 2 more of these, which is enough for me to do something more significant, like a tank top, a dress for the baby. I don't know that I'm going to give her non-superwash yarns for quite a few years. But yeah, I can do something fun with this. I also, like, I don't love yellow in things, but that super fun primary color look, I'm interested to see how it spins up. And I got 3 thinking that I could also, in theory, do like a sport weight or DK weight traditional 3-ply. So just spin each of those straight up, which will give me long color changes. And I'd probably have to think about or like look at all of them together and decide, you know, one I might split in half and change, just so we don't have too much overlap in colors, because I don't need it to be like fully color changing. I think more random would be fun, but I don't know. We'll see. The other thing I got was the rest of her Barbie core, which I am obsessed with this color. I got 2 of Superfine Merino in this also. I don't know what's the better. Look at that color. It's so neon-y. It's a little bit flamingo in there, but you also get these like nice light, some pastel-y pink bleeds in there. There's definitely this like, I don't know what color we would call this, like more of like a strawberry pink or like a raspberry pink, and a raspberry pink, I think, and a little bit purple. And she had one braid left of her 70% merino, 30% mulberry silk in the same color. Will I combine them? I don't know. I'm not opposed. I'm also not opposed, again, doing like a 3-ply with this so that it's just a tiny bit of silk throughout. It would, you know, make it more like 10% or whatever, right? That's my fiber acquisition. Hi, okay, sorry, not that this matters to you, I'm back. I had to help we had a friend with a printer emergency. And of course I haven't updated our printer software in like a million years, so it was a whole computer fun thing to just do. I am now back into knitting mindset. So we are talking books real fast, and then we will jump right into stats. I'm so excited. So for books, I finished this week A Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. It is the 3rd and last of the Infernal Devices trilogy within her whole Shadowhunter world. I never read these, so I read the original trilogy, the Mortal Instruments, like 1 to 3. I do think that there was like some advice on this, you know, I talked about this reading order. There was some advice that like you could potentially read them like in published order. There are some of 4, 5, and 6. They like kind of go back and forth. Just at the very end of this 3rd book, they in like the epilogue, they mention something I think that's more relevant to books 4, 5, or 6. It didn't spoil anything for me, so I mean, I don't know. I was like, do I remember what that thing is? I was like, I don't think I know what that is. And so it's something that I think will come up, which is fine. Totally good. So this was the last, though, of the love triangle epic Shadowhunter, Victorian Shadowhunters, Tessa and William and Jem. And I told you I spoiled for myself what I like was going to happen for the love triangle a little bit. I think I kind of knew part of it. So all good. I won't spoil it here for you, but I was satisfied very much with how it went. I thought she gave enough time for the wrap up and sort of how the bad guy got defeated. It wasn't until the very last 2 seconds of the book. So there was some amount of wrap up. There was like some implications and complications and things that would weigh in the future on decisions that the Clave made for our Shadowhunters we've already met. And so that's very exciting. So cool. It was cool. I also read this week, I did not start Wheel of Time yet. I'm still reading the Crowns of Nyaxia book 1. I have made a very small dent. I'm probably almost 50% of the way through. I just need to like keep reading, so it's not another one that takes me 5 months to finish my Kindle read. I did read a very wonderful book over the weekend, the first couple of days of this week, called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This is not a new book. I think it came out in 2018. It's wonderful. It's so wonderful. It is a book about witches living amongst us in secret. And one of the mandates to help keep them secret is that they aren't allowed to like hang out together. They meet very irregularly, like once a quarter or something like that. And it's pretty lonely because like then she has to keep herself secret for the main character. She had a pretty sad secret upbringing as well. Anyway, it is about her being contacted by people who are raising young witches and need a witch to help them. And it's fantastic. It was so good. It's very heartwarming. It was heartwarming. There were some sad parts. There's a little bit of steamy, tiny bit of steaminess. Mostly just like really sweet, which it was nice. It was a good read. Okay, I would definitely recommend it if you want to stand alone. I don't think that there will be more of that. I don't think that there are now. So, yeah. Last night I started Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries. It is a journal style book, as in like each entry is dated, and she is telling a story, but it is supposed to be field notes of a professor who is studying fairies. This is also, like, I don't remember if they say what year it was, but she's like in a really remote island off of Norway, I think, and studying fairies, high fae and common fae. Anyway, I love a book about fae, and this is really fun. She's a non-social scholar writing about some pretty funny social interactions, and also getting to know a very small, tight-knit community who deal with these fae. So overall, fantastic so far. I'm probably pretty close to halfway done. I zipped through quite a lot of it yesterday, a little bit this morning while I was getting my life together. And yeah, I really, really enjoy it. There are 2 books. I already have the second one on my Audible or in my library, Libby, to be read. That is books for you. So let's move on to some statistics. So I am going to do a pretty quick, so I'm going to talk about 2 things. One is my flat lay, and my yarn, like yardage stats. And then I also want to talk about and we'll do a very short maker stats, but I really want to talk about my wears and then my goals, where I am so far. So first off, let's talk about yarn stats. Right now, I'm going to give you the quick snippet of the color in. So you can see how much yarn I have used so far. This is for all of Q1. It's not necessarily in order, but it's close to finish order or destash order. It includes all yarn out of my house. What I don't have here is I don't have all the yarn that came in. It's something I'm thinking about doing for right now, for everything I've gathered that I haven't yet knit into something. And maybe I'll throw in a couple of, I have very much that I got in and immediately used. I think most of it is stuff that was already here, but I will maybe like my flamingo yarn. That's probably the thing that came in and left in 2024. But I want to take maybe a separate flat lay that's each quarter what I've gotten of yarn, it just all together, so all the weights together, and then I just have to dig them out of here, and I have them obviously in my tracker, and add those in, supplement those into my already existing flat lay. I'll think about it. I'm not promising I'll do that, but I've just shown you already my beautiful flat lay color in. So let's talk about what that is. Stat wise, I have acquired in 2024 22,000 yards. That's a lot. That does not include pre-orders I don't have. A good chunk of that was free from our yarn destash yarn swap. I did buy a couple of things. I bought a couple of things for projects, so those projects are already like either started or in and out. I did not include my sample yarn since all of that will come in and out, but what I will include, and this will kind of confuse our stats later, but I'm gonna, I'm still looking very primarily at like the first number we had of what yarn existed in 2020, beginning of 2024, and where we are right now, and or at the end of the year to be negative. But I will also be doing so I have a better idea of like how much I knit in a year. So samples I'll include, but I might, they're a zero sum in the end, right? So even if I include them, I send the whole amount back usually. So, okay. How much yarn have I gotten rid of or used so far this year? So I'm not negative yet. So we already know this is a problem, but that's okay. I have used 18,000 or gotten rid of 18,842 yards. That doesn't include anything that's currently being worked. So this is good. What it also doesn't include, I think, is anything that is not on my tracker to be used. So like I said, my acrylic never made it onto the tracker because that would be so hard. It's just so much for me to put in there, and I don't care to track it, so I haven't been. But when I did finish like the baby blanket, I weighed it in total. I took an average of what that worsted weight would be, and I'll count that in as yardage used this year because that is a number that is just going to inform me, right? So like, how much will I have used in a year? Let's talk about that number really fast. So, and also that's about 7,000 grams because different weights of yarn. I so far have knit 18,574 yards completed projects. That's a lot. That is just about the same amount as what I've also destashed. I destashed not a ton, you know, what I used and what I'm tracking in the yarn thing. I'm also tracking that same amount of yarn used plus the additional types of yarn I'm not tracking in my project tracker. So 2 different places, but they're pretty close. I probably got rid of like, oh, probably not that much, maybe like 3,000 yards of yarn. But again, I am making acrylic things. Okay. Are we all clear on this? Let's talk a little bit more about project things really fast. So far this year, I've completed 14 projects, which is a really great number. My numbers have ramped up. I cleared a lot of the needles before January. So January, 3 projects, 5 in February, 6 in March. That was a big push for several sweaters that were, you know, started earlier in the year. It's likely to be a similar trend over every quarter, that I'm going to get more things done towards the later parts, just because I clear. It's not even really super intentional, but I did like cast a lot of things on in April and the very last couple of days of March. So I so far have completed 4 pullovers, 3 cardigans, 3 tank tops or t-shirts, a scarf / cowl, a shawl, a baby blanket, and a hat. That's pretty cool. And then many more things on the needles, and that'll just keep growing. That's not like anything other than that's cool numbers for us to think about. For the knitwear tracker, so this is the fun one. Every day I go into my knitwear tracker and I just record what did I wear and like where did I wear it. So some days have more than one because I change. Some days I wear you know, whatever pullover to work, and maybe I have a date night and I want to change my shirt to wear something that I wouldn't wear for work or whatever. So I can have more than one. Each wear goes in separately. So let's just look really quick. I'll throw this chart up too for you. The other ones were just numbers, so I might not throw those up. But for this month over month, my wears were 34 in January, 29 in February, which is pretty much every day, even though there were like, don't typically wear knitwear on Sundays if I'm not filming on a Sunday. That's like the one day of the week you probably won't catch me in it because I'm just hanging out at home with baby, unless I have something to do. If I leave my house, I'm probably wearing something I made at this point. Other than the grocery store, in which I will be wearing whatever I currently have on. And then March I had 26, which is a little bit lighter, but that was, you know, days not working, etc. In my predominant place is definitely I wear to work. I wear pretty much every day of the work week. I will be wearing something knitwear. I have a little bar graph that shows you which sweaters by month, which is pretty fun. So you can see I have like a pretty good mix for all of the months. I'm not only wearing one thing, which is fun. My most worn sweater so far this year is my Doppio with 9 wears. I'll go down like the top 5. My second is my Superlative that has 8. Tied for third is my Allie's Light and my Duotone. Those both have 7. And then 5th place is my Ashling, which has 6 wears so far this year. Then we have, and that includes like the couple days that have happened of April. In my by quarter, so just like giving you the full wrap up, I wore 89. I had 89 days or wears, separate wears. So that's very fun. Those are little, I mean, I'm wearing my hand knits. This is great. This is also wearing them more often is what will give me and you some information on how is the yarn wearing? How is the pattern feeling? How does the garment feel? Are there adjustments I want to make? You know, all of those kinds of things. The more you wear it, the more you kind of know that stuff. So it's good. It's all around good information. And I'll have a full roundup, you know, each quarter. Probably just very similar numbers, so we can really see at the end of the year how much this is. And this has been fun, and like I do these stats in Monday.com, which is where I work, part of you know a tool I work in every day, so I always have it up, so it's just an easy thing I typically do in the morning. I'm just like, this is what I'm wearing today, and move on with my life. Like, takes me 2 seconds to do. So let's talk about goals. Where am I? So as a reminder, I had like 4 or 5 goals. One of them was be more stash conscious. Use what I have and already love. Yes, I have bought yarn this year. Yes, my hard number goal for this is to be 10,000 yards stash negative. I am not yet negative. Okay, everyone, I am aware. I'm very aware of that. I am not super worried about it because I do think through the rest of this quarter, I will have some pre-orders show up and I will have a bit of a slowdown for yarn because I have several of my my knit 12 that I want to get done and feel like focus priorities for me. So I will be getting those things cast on and done in short order. The nice thing about this is like that's my all up number. So even if I bring yarn in and use it right away, that still could give me a negative number if I'm also doing some from previous stash. So, I'm just thinking about it a little bit. Nothing happens if I don't be stash negative, but I actually feel really good about how these shelves are looking, like how full they are in each particular, the numbers and, where things are. I have some room in my DK cools, blues and purples. I'm not going to just fill it. I'm going to try to empty out a little bit. I don't want them to look too empty, but I have other things I could put in here, like some of the stuff that's in the bags that we talked about the other week, but also like I could make more room for braids if, I continue to buy some fiber, which just takes up more space while you're making it before you make it. My other buy with intention piece here was also to not buy unless I have ideas in mind, which I did already kind of break. There were a couple of things where I knew I wanted teas, a tea quantity, and I had backup ideas. I have some ideas in place for all of them. I always buy with like about a number that I would want, but I'm leaving myself the grace to be able to use them for test knits or for summer patterns that come out that I really fall in love with, just so I don't feel like I need to buy for those. So, but, and plans change. Like some of these things, like this super fluorescent-y, like orange I talked about earlier, I have an idea for that, but I'm also not married to that idea. It's not one of the ones I would like absolutely die if I didn't make. So there's that too. The other goal was to make 10 patterns bought in 2023 or before, but not made in 2023. I'm doing okay on that so far. I have made several. I actually should have looked at like what. Let me look really fast. I can tell you in my project tracker. I completed my Chimera that was bought before 2023. My Calm Down cardigan, my Cinnabar shawl, the Instant Crush pullover, the Stick Season, my Brownstone beanie, though I really want this to be more garments, but whatever. The Sweet Shop bulky, and the Leaf. So I mean I have like seven or 8, I guess if we don't count the Brownstone, 7 that I've already made. One or 2 of those were gifted to me, so maybe we don't count that, but I think I'm gonna crush this. So also my Make 12, I've bought most of those before 2024, so I think maybe there's only one that I don't own the pattern to, maybe not even. So that will definitely get me there. Okay, the next one is be smarter about test knitting and sample knitting. Only say patterns to it. Yes to patterns or yarn I truly love. For testing yarn I have on hand or supplemental small amounts only. My goal is to do less than 20 test knits. So far, I'm obviously have not done 20, though I've said yes to quite a few recently. I am good on the not buying except for my Hayley test, which I did know I was going to make an exception for before this because I knew I was going to make it to my Christmas sweater, which I meant to buy the yarn for last year. I'm glad I didn't because I needed a slightly different weight than what I would have bought. And it is filling a hole in my wardrobe. I need a red cabled Christmas sweater. So all in all, I feel positive about that one adjustment. And I've only had one sample so far this year. So that's good. And that's what I'm making right now. Next goal is do a sweater spin. I've not done this yet. And I decided to call this a garment spin because I'm a sweater. I don't have a sweater quantity and I don't want to force myself to buy more fiber. I have a lot right now that could get me a t-shirt. And so I think it's going to be a combo spin of some sort, maybe, sort of, who knows. And I'm not sure what it will be, but I think I need to still work a little bit more on consistency before I decide I'm going to do something that I'm going to actually wear as a garment, so that I know it is something I love and will actually wear and not something I'm just forcing myself to make. So that's going to be a little bit more like a Q2, Q3 kind of thing. And that's okay. I have all year to do this. And spin at least 4 pounds of fiber. That's the last one. I have to look at this. I think I've made so far 4 skeins of fiber so far this year, which is about a pound. So in a quarter, that's pretty good. I'm not mad about it. I think that's good. I've not been doing very good at tracking my fiber, like when it comes in, and I have not added this to the yarn tracker. I really think it would be a dedicated thing because I have to track very different things for it. And it might be just something I make another tracker for in the near future. This is one thing that I actually think Ravelry does an okay job with. One piece of one tool I'm missing, I guess, is like a clear protractor, which would help with the angle of my twist. And that's something just like information to know. As I become a better spinner, maybe I'll care about that more. But that is something that you can track in your tracker. It's like one of the things I was like, oh, I don't know how I would measure that right now. But overall, those are our stats. Some really fun things. I think 18,000 yards is way more than I was expecting. I really thought in a year I'd be close to 50. So this is positive. This is going to put me a little bit over. Obviously, if I've already brought in 22,000 yards and I thought I could knit 50 and I want to be stash negative, I was not buying at the proper rate. This does not surprise anybody, does it? This is why I'm doing this year, to just get a good idea. And obviously your rate of knitting is going to change periodically. Like if I find another hobby I love, if I just, have a kid who takes up a lot of time, if her bedtime creeps later, if we just have other things going on in our life, my knitting time's going to go down, and that's okay. But it does mean I have to be aware of that rate of input. Be conscious of it. I'm overall still really excited about yarn I have in my stash, in my library, and all the things I have planned to make with it. I'm glad I thought I was worried in February, this is when I became worried, that my Make 12, and I don't have a goal around my Make 12. I did make the Make 12. I would like to make most of my Make 12, if not all of them. But I was like stressing myself out a little bit in February, like, oh my gosh, am I going to get all of them done? I need to cast on so many of these. And then I was like, wait a second. First of all, I don't need to finish all of them. It's a good reminder. These are just things I was putting out as a good intention. And there are things that I really want to make. It is helping me to, like, because new patterns come out, I look at things, I get excited, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to change all my plans. But there are some things I just really love and I really want to make. And so I'm glad to like keep me sort of centered on those things. And it makes it really easy to pick out the next project, which is nice. I have let a couple of tests pass me by in the past couple of weeks that I've been excited for. But just things I have a couple of 2 close projects like on my Make 12 or patterns I already own that I'm going to prioritize. I know. I feel very proud of myself. So yeah, I think so far so good. I'm really surprised I have not made any socks. I've had a whole quarter off of socks. I made like 18 pairs last year. I don't feel like I need a ton of extra for myself. I do have a pair of socks I would like to cast on for a friend. And yarn that I would just, it's like fun. It's really bright. It's like highlightery, pairing. And so that would be fun to do. But yeah, I've got a lot of really fun things happening. I'm glad this was a short knit week. I did still make some really great progress on knits, but I'm glad to get back to Thursdays. So you'll see me a full week next week, and hopefully lots of progress on some of these things that you're seeing, and some things that you're not yet. And we'll talk about those when we can. Oh, one thing I did not talk about last week, I did my little voiceover and I showed you some patterns, which actually I loved to do that because I could really give you full focus on those patterns. But it's Iris Makes Knit Along. This is 100% just something she's doing in Discord. She did it last year. And like I said before, I have already 3 tees and tanks. They're all t-shirts that I have made in this first quarter. That's actually so exciting because as like this, as we're going into warm weather, I have fresh things to wear. I have not worn this like to work or anything yet. And that's perfect because it's like gonna stay, exciting. I don't have a lot of t-shirts. I have like 7 or 8 right now. I've through 3 times that in sweaters, right? So, and I wear sweaters every day of the week. 7 is not enough. Like I'm gonna be wearing the same things all the time. So to give me some more supplemental makes, it's great. And this is why Iris is doing this like kind of early. Yes, it is warm certain places. I understand that already. Like I know it's already warm in Texas, but it is snowing in the Midwest. So we are still very much early spring. I would encourage anybody who just wants that encouragement to get into a summer make early. Pick one of Iris's patterns, any one of her summer makes, which they're all listed on her website. I'll drop that link again for the make along details. You basically just knit, and then when you finish it, she's got a questionnaire she'll drop, I think, probably in the Discord channel. You can join the Discord channel. You do not have to, but I think that's maybe where she'll post the final Google Doc. Anyway, you could just put in, I think if you do complete something, you automatically get the coupon, but there's maybe a couple other giveaway things that she's going to do. I'm not entirely sure, which would be really fun. You can use my coupon code. You can also just follow my link. She has some bundles on her website too. If you use that, I still, get credit or whatever. I'm not really sure. Don't ask me. And I'm doing this because I get the kickback. I'm just doing this because it's a great support of a woman in STEM maker, designer. I do love a lot of her patterns. She's got a good variety even in summer wear. Some like bralettes, tank tops, crop tops, and t-shirts, slipovers, vests. Like there's kind of at least a one of everything. I am going to make the sundial t-shirt. It's a full sleeve it's a sleeved t-shirt. It's got a higher neckline and it has those sort of sun rays, but they go all the way down the body, which is super fun. There's also less of them than some of those other, spoked kind of circular yoke shirts. I've not done it yet, but I have seen feedback on Ravelry is that the fit is really nice for a circular yoke, thoughtful for larger sizes, which is really great to hear. And I'm going to use my grapefruit yarn, which I just pulled I just pulled the band off this, but this is Explorer Knits and Fibers in Cashmere Caverns fingering weight. So that's like 437, I think. It's an 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere nylon mix, and it is so soft. This is the color grapefruit. It was in summer market last year, and it's another color that not everybody in the knitting group, but several of us have this color to make the intention was tees and tanks. And so I think Ariel is the only one. She cast hers on immediately as she was excited about this color. And so she made hers last year in the summer, and no one else has touched theirs. And so I would like to get mine made. This is a color, a part of I had pinned this with a couple other patterns in mind that I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. But when I saw Iris's also in orange, I really wanted to make it. This is not really a Megan color again, but it's so soft. It's going to be nice. It'll be something that will feel like a very casual wear for me because it's, it's a full coverage t-shirt. not necessarily something I'd pick for date night, because again, this is not my best color, but it looks okay. It might be okay. It'll be fine. What are you gonna do? Those are some future plans. This one I have one of the skeins already wound upstairs, but I'll take another one up for me to do this cast on really soon. The make along is until the 1st of July, so we have quite a lot of time. But for here, that's like, we usually say summer actually starts July 5th. It's a Seattle thing. So I will have at least a couple other t-shirts by then, and that sounds amazing. I'm super excited. Now that I'm also knitting with this linen yarn, I am tempted to cast on one of the Stratus fingering yarns that I have here. Like maybe this one, because this is a different color than what I'm making right now. This looks kind of shiny. It's really not. It's not as shiny as the other one. But I want that, like, I want at least one, like, summer fabric, super drapey, fun kind of top to wear this summer. This or something else. I have a couple other summer blends that are potentials. So there we go. That was, like, just a rambly nothing part of the podcast, just for me to tell you things I've been thinking about. Thanks for joining me this week. I hope that everybody had a good just few days since I talked to you last, and I will be chatting with you soon. If you have, update, sorry, really fast as I'm signing off, my Scotch broom, I did pick the blue. Just in case anyone's wondering, I'm going to wind it up. I got the pattern today in my inbox, and I will be casting that on maybe even tonight, who knows. But I think that blue, that's what I slept on it, and then I just dreamed about wearing this blue Scotch broom on a date with my husband. And I totally was wrong. It is a tie top. I looked at a picture from a different, I only like downloaded one of the pictures when I was looking at it, and she sent a couple more, and there is another angle, and it is definitely a tie top, which will be really interesting because it's going to be a lot of knitting to make that tie top, but the tie at the bottom, but it'll be nice. I am excited to have like that more of a hem to do it with. So there's that. If you would like to tell me what you're knitting on, I want to know, what is your summer make that you're most excited about? And are you going to join Iris's knit along for the Iris Makes Summer top knit along? Oh my gosh, I'll put the whole Instagram hashtag in the description also, so you know what that is if you just want to join on Instagram. So I hope to see you over there. I'll be in the Sundial channel. I'll also be in the other channels, just hanging out and chatting with people who are sharing their yarn choices and asking questions. And it's a nice little extra yarn community. If you are wanting that in your life, I give you that to do. So please, if you are not following, give me a subscribe. If you had a good time hanging out with me, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to follow me on Instagram or on Ravelry, please do. My links are always right below. And I am always available in DMs. So if you have questions that you don't feel comfortable posting below or other comments, please share those with me. And I will talk to all of you next week. Have a great weekend. And I hope you have a great time knitting and working on whatever you're doing. Thanks. Bye.